What's your name? I was gonna guess Caroline.
Fuck.
So much hate. You're telling me you don't look like a Caroline.
Rarely is it always going to be so smooth. You're talking to the girl, you just first met her on the street, and she's like, "Sure, yeah, I'll stop and chat with you. Sure, I'll give you my phone number." What up, Casanova, and welcome to part 2 of my 2-part guide on how to be less agreeable and more assertive. Now, in part 1, I discussed what it generally means and why it's important. And in this video, I'll be discussing exactly how you can start being less agreeable and more assertive in your interactions with women and in life in general, as well as showing you some real life examples. Okay, so what are some things that you can do? What are some principles that you can keep in mind in order to be less agreeable and more assertive in your interaction? Well, first of all, be more bold and direct in your behavior and in your communication. So for example, if there's an opinion or a critique or an observation that you want to share or make, even if it might mildly offend, do it anyway. Now, don't do it to provoke. Do it if you feel like it's conducive to the interaction or to the dynamic.
I have to be honest, I don't always understand you, but we're gonna get over this little hurdle. It's like some mumbling and...
I think it's my voice.
The accent a bit.
Sorry.
But I'm adjusting. I don't judge.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
We're gonna get over this.
Oh, thank God. We're gonna get through this. Thank God.
I'll just tell you to slow down, enunciate, articulate. Mademoiselle, for you. A gin and tonic, like a classic British girl.
Fucking Aussie. Sure, money? You sure?
I don't want your Australian dollars.
I'm not one of those girls, so I'm like, buy me a drink each.
Also, if you have an agenda that you want to push, all right, if you want to go after something, then do it even if it's not always smooth, because rarely is it always going to be so smooth where you want to take something out of life and it's just easily handed to you, right? And things just like smoothly go your way. You know, you're trying to make a sale and the client's like, "Sure, sign me up." Or you're talking to the girl, you just first met her on the street and she's like, "Sure, yeah, I'll stop and chat with you." I mean, sure, that happens once in a while. Sure, I'll give you my phone number. Or at night where she's not gonna give you some kind of attitude and there's not gonna be some kind of chaos, okay? There's always gonna be some kind of inherent challenge that you're gonna be met with. And sometimes you're gonna have to ask or say things that are somewhat risque or uncomfortable. Within reason, of course. Like, you can ask a client what their budget is, even if someone might think that that's crossing the line. Or you can ask a girl if she's in a relationship, or even if she's like in love with her boyfriend. Again, gauge the feedback that you're gonna be getting, but again, push your agenda even if things are not always smooth. Are you engaged?
I'm not engaged, but I am. No, I am.
That's very inconvenient for us. How are we?
I don't know how we're gonna fly to Brazil.
How are we gonna go to Brazil?
He's not gonna be very happy about it.
We'll send him a postcard.
I don't think that's gonna work out.
We'll let him visit. We can't give up just like that at the slightest like challenge. Every couple goes through like, you know.
You're really jumping ahead here.
I don't think they would.
Taking some leaps.
Well, okay, here.
There's a trend happening.
But here's the thing. I have like big commitments with my business, so it couldn't be anything like too serious.
Okay.
So, you know, rest assured. Yeah, you know, very casual, open.
Okay.
So you could keep your boyfriend if you want.
Interesting.
It's the other guys.
Yo, quick announcement, my dude. Just want to briefly mention that over the last year, many guys have been asking me, how do you create chemistry with women? And this has sadly been exaggerated by the pandemic. That's right, I'm talking about that magic you see me create with the girls in my videos. So, I've decided to give away a super entertaining, uncut, infield bonus video showing exactly that. Just click on the link in the description below. By signing up, you're also joining the VIP list for our, wait for it, new course, Honest Chemistry, which will be released in the near future and will teach you everything to do with creating chemistry, from sexual tension to an amazing connection. This course has been more than a year in the making, and I'm really excited to release it. So be sure to click on the link in the description box or comment section below to get access to your bonus video and stay in the loop. All right, now let's get back into it. Now, if there's something that you don't like or you don't want, communicate it. Communicate it up front. If the girl is coming into your house and you want her to take her shoes off, well then say, hey, can you take your shoes off? Now also note the use of your language or the choice of words. Say, hey, can you take your shoes off? Instead of, hey, do you mind taking your shoes off? Now this is your house. You don't need to worry about whether the girl minds taking her shoes off. You just want to make sure that she takes her shoes off. Okay, now somebody less agreeable or somebody more agreeable that's scared to offend might use that choice of words, like, do you mind taking your shoes off? Now, of course, there are certain situations where you need to use words that are more respectful. You know, if your boss is giving you a ride at the end of your shift and he wants to play some music and you have a headache, well, it'd be rude for you to just say, hey man, can you just like turn that off? Then it would be more appropriate to say, hey, do you mind if you turn that down a bit? My head is just fucking killing. And I mean, generally you can get away with more when you're more comfortable with the person, when you know them. And this is actually why I always say adopt a frame of familiarity in your interactions. Now, I've said this before, and this applies to a lot of things in being successful with women and just being more successful in social situations. When you assume that you and the other person are more familiar, then you can behave in a way that's congruent to that, and that in turn will make the other person feel more comfortable, more familiar with you. So it creates, a deeper sense of rapport. But when that kind of a foundation is set, then it is easier to be less agreeable and to communicate the things and to go for the things that you want. So again, if there's something you don't want or you don't like, communicate it. Now also, your vibe is important. The way in which you carry yourself, the way in which you speak, your facial expressions, all that is very integral to giving off the vibe of a less agreeable, more assertive person. So I made a note about the choice of words, but voice, for example. If you're telling the girl, you know what, I don't want to go to the art show. I'd rather not go to the art show. Watch the inflection at the end of the sentence. To be honest, I'd rather not go to the art show. It's downward. Now, someone who's more agreeable is going to say it with an upward inflection. He might say something like, to be honest, I don't want to go to the art show. Now notice there's an upward inflection. Now what is that essentially saying? That you don't have conviction or confidence in what you're saying. You're not really sure if it's okay with the other person that you don't want to go, or you don't want to go to this thing, you don't want to do this thing, whatever it is. To be honest, I don't want to go to the art show. It's like, is it okay with you if I don't go to the art show? This upward inflection. So that's an honest signal.
What's your name? I was going to guess Caroline.
Fuck.
So much hate. You're telling me you don't look like a Caroline.
Get out of here.
You're telling me
do not look like
you don't look like a fucking Caroline.
I do not look like a fucking Caroline. What's your name?
Vadim. Vadim.
Vadim? Is it Russian or a Canadian name?
It's definitely not Canadian.
Vadim? It's not Canadian, not German.
It can be French, can be
French.
Canadian.
It's French.
It can be a lot of things.
Similarly, people that smile too much as a crutch are people who are afraid of coming off as disagreeable Now, there is nothing wrong with smiling if it's coming from a genuine place of like, oh, I'm in a fun party mood, I'm laughing, I'm cracking up. You know, you'll see me smile a lot in some of my interactions. But when you're doing it from a place of, I want to please and I just want to put on a fake smile, and you know, you see people do that sometimes. You know, baristas do that at coffee shops, they put on these fake smiles. When it's coming from that place, well, that's not good. It just comes off as fake, disingenuous. And so stay conscious of that and practice just having a more neutral facial expression. Which actually leads me into my next point, and that is to set the frame from the beginning. Okay, or set the tone from the beginning. Now this is true, you know, when it comes to a lot of things in game and being successful with women, but you wanna set this tone of, listen, I'm a pretty like direct, assertive, you know, not necessarily agreeable guy from the very beginning. Because otherwise, if you're just like really fake and overly friendly and agreeable, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're like, no, you criticize something harshly, or like you say no to something harshly, it's gonna come out of the left field, and it's just not gonna be congruent. It's gonna make you come off as you know, embittered or angry, which is not what assertive is. Moreover, if you're trying to push for something and you're gonna try to, you know, be more assertive, all of a sudden it's gonna come off as, again, aggressive. And it's gonna make the person feel, whether it's a girl or a client, that you've been fake with them this whole time so that you can then suddenly push your agenda. So do not do that. Make it all be felt from the very beginning. And again, in how you carry yourself and in the things that you say, things you want, don't want, like, don't like, etc. And lastly, note that how you assert yourself, you know, the whole idea of being more assertive or less agreeable can manifest itself in a variety of different ways. And it can range from very subtle to more, you know, quasi-subtle, flirtatious fun to more serious. So let's say you're at the girl's place. Something as small as just like walking in, and let's say she's grabbing some wine from the kitchen, and you just start wandering into her living room and looking through her bookshelf, picking up some books. Maybe she's got some little like knickknacks on the bookcase, and you kind of inspect them. So you're giving yourself that permission to do so. That suggests that you're more of an assertive guy, okay? Whereas somebody less assertive would hesitate to do that, would hesitate to kind of cross that boundary, would think that's too invasive. Again, I'm not saying like go into her bedroom and start looking through her drawers. That's obviously crossing a line. You know, going over her bookcase, like if you're right there and looking at her books, they're not meant to be private. That's okay. Now, you could also have some lighthearted, flirtatious, disagreeable banter, or you could have some kind of a more, you know, serious, disagreeable discussion where you share your views and she shares hers, whether it's politics or whether it's, you know, the economy or some tech stuff, whatever it is.
She threw her child off it. Fuck. It makes me mad. Like, suicide makes me really, really angry.
Why?
It's well, firstly, it's selfish. It's entirely selfish. It is.
Well, everything we do is selfish.
No, not
Yes.
everything. Not everything I do is selfish.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, it's not true.
Yeah, on a genetic, evolutionary level, everything we do is selfish. There's nothing we do that's not selfish. Tell me something we do that's not selfish.
Okay, my job is not selfish.
How so?
Because I value people's properties and I tell them what's worth. I don't gain nothing from that.
You make money?
Yeah, but like, I enjoy it.
Well, you get money. There's an exchange of value.
It's not selfish. I'm not doing it because I get money. I'm doing it because obviously I do it because I get money, but I generally do it
First
because
and foremost.
I enjoy it.
That's secondary. You just happen to love your job.
I'm not a selfish person.
And actually, I took a business ethics course. We had a philosophy professor teaching it. And she put a lot of good things into perspective, and one of the things was that everything we do is selfish because everything is really...
I think that's a negative view.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's a positive view.
Thank you.
No, well, hear me out. It's actually a very positive view. Recognizing that from an evolutionary perspective, everything we do on a genetic level is selfish is actually a positive thing, because then you recognize how people work. And now listen.
Selfish is survival of the fittest. And that's the gene pool, like
survival of the fittest. I mean, that's the basic view of it.
In our culture today, we're not fucking cavemen, like having to survive. We're literally like people just living our lives. Like,
you're trivializing.
But there are more selfish people than you and I. I don't think you're a selfish person.
We all are. Hold on. Hear me out. Yeah, I think here's the problem. You have a negative connotation of the word selfish. It sounds bad. It just means...
But there are negative connotations to the word selfish.
There are. That's the problem. Therein lies the...
So what's the positive of being selfish?
It just means that everyone at any time is always seeking some form of some sort of value. Now, that value... take a very altruistic act. Okay, take this conversation first of all, right? Why are we both here?
Nothing from this.
No, wait. Why are we both here? Because there's a mutual exchange of some kind of psychological stimulation, let's say. Right? We're just enjoying the chat. No one's forcing us, right? So we're doing something selfish right now. Okay, well, let's take a very altruistic act. Somebody helps out in Africa, okay? Borders, Doctors Without Borders. Let's say they're not even getting paid a lot of money. That's still a selfish act because they're getting a sense of fulfillment, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I agree.
The only exception...
I agree with you.
Right.
And note that it's okay to have a friendly, fun, or more quasi-serious debate with a girl when you first met her or when you're on a date, but it's important that you do not make a point of disagreeing with her for the sake of being assertive or disagreeable. You're not trying to prove a point. Now, this is very key, similar to how I told you not to share critiques or opinions or observations simply for the sake of provoking. Now, it's different if it's like a light little tease, but that's something else. Similarly, you don't want to have these heated discussions where you're just trying to prove a point and get the upper hand in the interaction. That's going to come off as very petty or insecure. And if you feel that the discussion or the disagreement is actually getting heated, that you might have gotten triggered, perhaps it's a very personal or sensitive topic, just abort and say, you know what, okay, why don't we revisit this another time, lighten the mood, maybe high-five her, say something goofy or funny, just shift over, okay, to something else. And speaking of feedback, remember that being less agreeable or being more assertive is pursuing a desired outcome or stating and standing behind an opinion while still being mindful and respectful of the desired outcomes of others as well as their opinions. So don't completely disregard the feedback. Take it gracefully. Like, it's okay to be a little bit of a dick, but don't cross the line. Just a tasteful amount of being a dick or an asshole. And you can tease if you disagree with someone, but don't insult them and never make it a personal attack. Also, be careful not to come off as condescending. People really don't like that. Don't say stuff like, well, I could see why you would think that. I mean, I too was once young and naive. It's not your fault. Or, well, you weren't really educated properly, so it's okay. I understand why you would have that opinion. Okay, don't say shit like that. Unless it's an obvious tease or an obvious jab where you're kind of exaggerating it for comedic or dramatic effect, and then it's different. So with that in mind, I want you to start practicing being less agreeable and more assertive in your interactions with women and in life in general, and you will see what a tremendous impact that this will have on your attractiveness, on how women perceive you, how much respect they have you, how people perceive you in general, and you'll, again, be able to live a much more fulfilling, authentic, and purposeful life. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and comment your thoughts, questions, concerns below. I'd love to hear them. Also, don't forget to sign up for our Honest Chemistry VIP list to get your free uncut infield bonus video by clicking the link in the description or comment section below. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.